Being in a series like this, how does this make you feel about our zoological collecting and our interest in animal? You know, in the should they stay in their own environment, or should we bring them into the?
It's such a hard question, right? Because you
especially with
both sides of the argument, and I mean, I think that listen, what can I tell you? I love animals. I want them to be good and prosper, and I know zoos do great things for animals, and at the same time, there's arguments against it. So I don't really have an opinion on that one way or the other, but. Long live animals. God bless.
You're going to give us a hint on how everybody made it out of that big herd in the middle of the street? Yes.
So season 2, I think, is really satisfying in that way because it picks up right where season 1 left off. In season 1, it ends and the screen goes black after these animals kind of start to charge the car. And so for just a couple, like 1 or 500. And for audiences that were kind of on the edge of their seat when season 1 concluded, it picks up right there and then just goes full throttle through all 13 episodes for season 2. It's really a big adrenaline rush, exciting season. Yeah.
So it must be really exciting to have that continuity, to be able to jump back into it and move forward.
It's great.
How big was the gap between the first season and the second in terms of actually making the...
Like real life time?
Yeah, in terms of...
the gap is about 6 months.
6 months.
No, excuse me. We ended in July, August, September. Yeah, about 6 months.
And then for you mentally, I mean, how was the gap? Taking the break and then coming back in, or how was the...
Yeah, no, it's nice to have a break. I mean, when we're shooting the show, it's full on, and particularly this season because the action is amped up. The stories are even larger. So, but no, it's nice to have a break, kind of hit the reset button, and come back and jump into season 2. And we actually switched locations. Season 1 we shot in New Orleans. Season 2 we're shooting in Vancouver. So well, 2 great places.
And you don't have to deal with the heat as much.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I understand that, as you said, everything is, ramped up this season. I understand that there's going to be another subplot of another mutation that's happening. I know you can't get into details about it, but can you talk about what it was like to have that extra added element to, deal with your character for this season?
Yeah, so, season 2 is really interesting because the mutation, the thing that's happening with the animals starts to kind of change. And so we're chasing how to properly address it, and so that's where the focus of the group is the entire time. But also, Jackson starts to deal with some things and some unexpected things that are happening to him, and so the audience will be, I think, really surprised and interested to see how that story plays out. The other great thing about the season is, while the action of the story amps up and while it's adrenaline filled, the interpersonal relationships between the characters also just really starts to build. There's love, there's romance, there's fighting between people who were best friends in season 1. Jackson and Abe have some turmoil that starts to begin between them. So I think that it's going to be an exciting season. Yeah.
Are the political underpinnings of the series, how do they evolve from the first season? We're dealing with conspiracy and corporate responsibility or irresponsibility and all this and that. How does that further or play out here? Does it really get even more? I mean, I don't know how much more insane can it be than real life. But,
yeah.
But we're dealing with conspiracies. We're dealing with
like big corporations and government and all that. Raiden Global is still a part of season 2. The government actually becomes a bigger part of season 2. There's a character whose name is Sergeant Davies, and Sergeant Davies kind of becomes almost the manifestation of the bad guy, because he is this military guy, works for the government, is trying to figure out this NOAA objective. I think in season 1 we started to talk about the NOAA objective and kind of culling the animals and instead of trying to save them, just basically ridding the earth of them. So this guy, Sergeant Davies, really leads the charge for that. And so while the team is dealing with the animals and they're dealing with the stuff between themselves, they also have this nemesis going on with this guy and the government. So it's really interesting. There's really action and drama throughout every episode. It's kind of, when we first started shooting, I thought, this is all happening. Like, I read the teaser for episode 1 and I thought, that's just the teaser? How is that not a season? We're definitely going to run out of story, but we haven't. It's been amazing. Each episode is just so packed. It's great.
What do you feel it is about the series that continues to resonate well with viewers?
I think that, viewers are looking for something exciting. It's something different. There's really no other show like Zoo on the air, and it has the elements I think that make a great TV show. It has really interesting characters, but also an exciting plot. And so while you're kind of enthralled with what's happening and what they're trying to do, you also, I think the audience likes to spend time with these characters, and I think that makes a good TV show. You know, you gotta, these people are in your living room, they're on your TV, you gotta wanna spend time with them to watch them every week. Yeah.
So there's a lot of action this season for you, so did you train more, or how did you kind of approach that from a physical standpoint?
Yeah, you know, I'm active in my life, and I'm a runner, but this year I started doing a little bit more like combat training and just things to get a little bit more well adjusted to all the action that we're doing, and it's been helpful because they're long days and lots of action sequences. Yeah.
Well, you know, with this incident in Cincinnati with the gorilla,
Yeah.
you know, it did raise the issue of animal rights, and you know, in many ways, the show touches onto this. Where do we draw the line between the animals and ourselves and all? Does this ever come up as I guess it must come up as a conversation among?
Well, I think if anything, the show is a champion of animal rights. I mean, if you really if you truly think about like like what the show is saying, it truly is a champion of animal rights and, you know, and freedoms. And I think obviously what happened in the zoo is just so sad. It's just, you know, terrible tragedy. So what else can you say besides that, right?
So you said that you had a 6-month break between the show. Do you ever find it difficult once you come back to like mesh back with your castmates, you know, or does the chemistry come right back?
You know what? It thankfully just snaps right back in. It's like an old best friend. It truly is. I mean, that sounds a little almost like overly sentimental, but it's like an old best friend. Everyone just gets back together, and you just like maybe takes about 15 minutes, and we're back in it.
And you freak out for all the animals surrounding your vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. It was interesting to start at that point because it had been 6 months, and so all of a sudden we're in the car again. It's like, okay, wait, we're in Washington D.C. and wait, what's happening? There's animals charging the car. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, now I'm ready. So it took a minute to calibrate, but then we were back in it.
Do you have a chance? Does this give you a chance to offer feedback in terms of any developmental ideas? Because you know you've lived with these characters, and now you've got a chance now to learn something about them to give input.
Yeah, you know, our writing team is fantastic, and they are writing the hell out of this thing. And the other great thing about them is they're collaborative. So, you know, if they write a story, and since we're starting to live these characters and breathe these characters, you know, there's always a two-way conversation that happens, and it feels like a great collaboration between actors, writers, and directors, and you know, grateful for that. Yeah.
This isn't a zoo question, but our website has a huge crush on Bob Benson.
Yeah.
Do you still get asked about him?
All the time. all the time. Yeah. Good old Bob Benson.
So your past haunts you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'd be interesting to see how Bob would deal with the animal apocalypse. Not great, I imagine.
That's always the thought. Put a different character you played into the context.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the strategy of the show being a summer show? The networks have kind of moved to have programming now premiere sort of in the summer months, right?
Yeah.
Away from the fall and spring schedule. Is that a smart strategy? Is it something that you want to?
Well, I think it's a great thing to be a summer show. I think that listen, it's also great to be a fall show, but I think as the guy who's on a summer show, I'm particularly fond of it because, you know, the fall is really congested. There's a lot going on in the fall, whether it's football or, you know, every network trying to launch 10 new shows, and everyone's competing for the audience's attention. I think the summer's a great time to really let audiences find their show and kind of in an environment that allows them to concentrate more, really, you know, jump onto a show and go with it. So yeah, it's great.
Has James Patterson been more visible this season or last season?
I would say one and the same. You know, he's I was just with him. He's a big fan of the show, which is great, and a supporter of the show. And he's always a part of it. You know, I mean, it's his brainchild, and yeah.
Does he ever find it, you know, to see his characters come to life? Does he say to you guys, "Wow, I didn't see it till"?
I think he has fun watching what we do with the characters, and that's cool because, you know, not every author who writes a book has that kind of comfort level to let the reins go and see what people do, and James is pretty great in that way. Yeah, I think he likes to see what happens on screen.
As you continue to delve into the characters, is there anything you find you're surprised to learn about yourself as an actor?
As I continue to delve into Jackson, this season has a lot more in store for Jackson, just emotionally. You know, things happen. You learn more about his family. You learn more about his father. There's loss in his life. There's love in his life. And so I think as an actor, for me, it's been really exciting this season to play all those different colors and all those different varieties, because that's, you know, quite frankly, what's exciting to do as an actor. And I've really been allowed to do that this season with all the stuff that has in store for him. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not just an action character, there's an evolving, when you
Yeah.
have something like this, it gives you the luxury that almost nothing does, not theater, not film, to really expand the character.
That's right, and the characters this season, you know, there's a lot going on emotionally for all of them, and there's a lot of, you know, not only is the show this unbelievable roller coaster and there's action, but between the characters you start to see real emotional bonds made. So I think it's going to be exciting for audiences to go, yeah, that show I really, really liked last year, not only is like the adrenaline and the stakes higher in the show, but the characters are also, you know, there's more emotionally going on there too. I think it just builds on what was a great first season and just takes it to the next level for season 2.
How was it seeing your castmates as opposed to just the characters, but revisiting the people you worked with?
I can't stand those guys.
I knew it.
It's great. It's great. It's a great cast. We have a lot of fun. We laugh a ton, which, you know, you got to do because it helps just those 14, 15-hour days. But no, it's a great cast, and I'm grateful to work with them every day. I am. Yeah.
What about working there? I mean, obviously you have to use some CGI because some of those animals are dangerous.
Yeah.
And big.
So what's it like dealing with that aspect? And is there a mix of props and CGI with them?
Yeah, you know, we do, obviously we have real animals on the show. We also have a great deal of CGI. The CGI is always a challenge because you're looking at a dot, and that dot has to be like a rhino, or that dot has to be an elephant, and you know that dot's coming at you on a C-stand by some, you know, grip waving in the air, and you have to have the emotional reality in you to make that come alive. And so that's a great challenge, is working with CGI as an actor. But I'm always so excited. Like last season, I think they really pulled off doing an amazing job making those animals come to life. And so I can't wait to see on season 2, you know, now that everyone's even more comfortable, how good the animals are going to look. Yeah.
Was there one scene which really, like, once you saw it, fully realized that you went, wow?
Yeah, I mean, the lion scene in the tall grass where there was like 10 lions storming us. I think there was like 1 lion on set that day.
And it was sleeping.
And it was, yeah, and it was exhausted. And I mean, that was amazing. I also thought that the last episode, the final sequence where the animals are all getting ready to charge and they had this whole CGI wall of animals, I thought that was pretty wonderful. Yeah, there's definitely, I'm blown away by those guys, the production designers and the CGI team. They're like heroes to me. Yeah.
So will there be some world traveling going on this season?
We're globetrotting the world again but this time through Vancouver. Yeah, we're going all over. We're going to be in France again. We're going to be in London. We're going to be in Patagonia, South America. You know, because Vancouver just has some amazing. You know, British Columbia is incredible with the mountains and the water. So they've got some great nature, and I think that'll be pleasing for the audience. It's kind of like a whole new world.
And you got the chance to go from New Orleans cuisine to Vancouver's got some great restaurants.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. A lot healthier.
Yeah.
Just feel a lot healthier this year.
You really picked out there in New Orleans. Huh?
We switched out like, you know, butter and whiskey for like fish and green juice. The cast looks 10 years younger this year. It's going to be unbelievable.
I'm not surprised.
It's a prequel. You're going to go, wait a minute, what? Is that Jackson's son?
Downtown Vancouver, they got